Palatka Community Redevelopment Agency meeting for December 11th at 5 p.m. We have 2 members who are in transit. We're going to go ahead and open up with our invocation and our pledge. So,
Please join me in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight to ask for your guidance, and please guide the CRA board in making the decisions that will better the community of Palatka. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Hill,
Here.
Commissioner Brown, Commissioner Campbell,
No.
Commissioner Williams,
No.
Commissioner Gorham,
Present.
Mr. Deputy's absent.
Please excuse me. Okay. So at this time, we don't have a quorum. We're waiting for the arrival of one additional member so that we can take action on our action items. What we're going to do is go through all the non-action items on the agenda. And we will have presentations and then a brief recess. First up is we're going to have the report from Mr. Kevin Monahan from SBDC. There's an additional item under agenda, item 1 for the Small Business Development Center. The agreement for funding. We'll address that issue once we have a quorum. Mr. Monahan.
Got a couple of updates. This is a success story. Good to see you. You got one of these? Hey, thank you. Well, good evening, everybody. Good to be here. I'm ready, representing the Small Business Development Center, which is housed at University of North Florida. But we have a full-time person here. Many of you may know her. Her name is Cheryl Lynch. And I've been asked to come tonight to give you an update on our activity in Putnam County from July through September. And that's the impact sheet that many of you have in front of you. So year to date, we've worked with 186 entrepreneurs, 739 total consulting hours, 7 workshops and events. Over 315 people attended these workshops. So far, and this is before the survey, we have 7 jobs created. Business startups 6. That's more than likely going to change once the survey information comes in, which we get around January. 1.75 million in loans were received by businesses in Putnam County, and an additional 75,200 was put in as well. One of the things that I want to add in is because of Hurricane Irma, if you remember, the governor declared all 67 counties as disaster areas. And Cheryl, on top of her regular caseload work, took it upon herself to both market the program in Putnam County and was able to help companies package 7 of these disaster bridge loans. And to sum it up very quickly, what they are is up to $50,000 at 0 interest for 6 months, and then you pay it back in its entirety. So she worked with 8 to 10. I think that's how many are going to commit at the end. But so far we know, closed, we have 7 that each went for about $50,000. So that kept those businesses open, and we're pretty excited about that. On the back of the page, you'll see a client highlight. We also call those success stories. This is about Linda Kreider and Bartram Inn Bed and Breakfast in Palatka. This took about 5 years to come to fruition because A lot of the research that she was showing showed that she didn't have enough capital to make this thing work without not sleeping at night. And so we worked with her, and Cheryl worked with her a great deal, to do market research and gather enough information where she finally felt that she could do it. And the grand opening was September 28th, and they had guests checking in during the grand opening. So I think that's a pretty exciting thing to happen. So that was just a little vignette for you there on one of our success stories. When we give you the year-to-date end-of-year report, and I guess that would be in January, Mayor, I don't know. The numbers are going to be quite a bit higher because the survey information will have come in by then. We survey all the people that we work with to make sure that we didn't miss anything. And that's my report. I'm open to any questions that you may have.
Okay, just talk a little bit about the move.
Sure. Cheryl, because of her need to access a building, and she's not able to get access in the current building that she was located in, we have moved her to another office, which is on Reed Street. And we really don't know how. It looks like it's going to go great. We're putting some money into the office. We're buying some new equipment, and it looks fine. But again, we're entering the holidays, and the move occurred right after Thanksgiving. But I think it's going to actually help her service more people during the hours that business people want to meet. It's incredible how many business people, and I understand it, they want to meet before 9 a.m. because they want to go to their jobs by then or make sure their people are working by then. And they want to meet after work. They want to meet after 5 o'clock. And we feel that this new office is going to accommodate that.
What is it on Reed Street?
1100 Reed Street. Is that the Visitor Information Center, I believe?
Not 1100 Reed, 1100 Carr Street.
I don't know. I've got Reed Street here, but I don't know what I'm talking
1100
about.
Reed Street probably is where she was.
Okay, that's probably true.
Yeah.
Because this was printed back then.
Yeah, that's
But
where she was.
she's at 11. She's at Synergy, right?
Yes.
That's
Oh.
1100 Carr Street.
I thought she was originally at the.
She was in the chamber.
She was in the
That's-
chamber, but
That's
we had
1100 Reed Street.
She moved from the chamber inside of Synergy Construction's building.
that's right.
And so that's 1100 Carr Street.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm still a little geographically challenged here. I apologize for that. You guys know every building in the city, so I can't keep up with you.
And I've discussed this with Mr. Monahan as well. One of my concerns with being inside of a construction company with no signage, with no means of, I found out because I sent somebody to her, and the response was she's no longer at the chamber
Right.
without any forwarding information. My biggest concern is the fact that the CRA provides some funding for the SBDC, and I think one of the things that two critical things for me. One is that there is no true delineation of how many citizens of the city of Palatka are being served as opposed to in the county. What's the bang for the buck from just the citizens within the county? The second thing is being inside of that particular building, which is not necessarily visible from any of the major thoroughfares. And there's not much by way of solicitation or communication with small businesses. As a small business owner, I've yet to receive any piece of documentation from SBDC. And so I've voiced that for the last 3 years, and I still haven't received any communication. And so my question is, are we truly targeting businesses, or are we truly targeting referrals? And it's different. I just think that if existing business owners are given communication, which allows them to be able to use the resource that's paid for with city funds, it creates better opportunity for us to help folks in our major business districts, also entrepreneurs who are budding, things of that nature, as opposed to people who are only finding out because they know somebody who may have that information. I'm squarely inside the CDB, inside the Central Business District for almost 2 decades.
Mhm.
And yet I don't get that communication. My neighbors haven't gotten it. And there's not a large number of businesses in the city itself, that it becomes impossible or too much of a task for us to send that communication out. And so if we're truly trying to help the business owners, then when do we reach out to them?
Well, let me address that, if you don't mind. First of all, we've reached out to 186 businesses. That's quite a few.
How to get to you?
Either by referral, or we found them, or they saw our Facebook page, our website, our Instagram, our Snapchat, and our LinkedIn.
So sound like they reached out to you. You guys most of them. That's
Well,
what
we
I'm
do a lot
hearing.
of reaching out too. Cheryl's not very shy. In fact, I will add that it's not like she's sitting in the office and taking the next person like you work at a deli or something like that. She meets a vast majority of businesses at their place of business, which I think is important, especially when you talk about some of the shop owners here and some of the agrarian places that she visits. We have not done a mail out in the community. And I remember you talking before when you were handling those big files that you're old school. And so maybe we do need to do a mailer. I don't think there's a problem doing that at all. To take it a step further, I would say that we'd be more than happy to separate Palatka out for you. We could do a report just on Palatka.
Well, I've been asking for that ever since Cheryl got it.
Well, then I will take care of that because we have an excellent MIS system, and that wouldn't be difficult to do at all.
And at one time, we were giving you all more money than the county, I think.
I think we are still.
I think you still are.
We're giving 20,000.
We were giving you all more money to operate than the county.
We do.
We do have a bigger portion because I think the total amount was like 32,000 or so,
Right, and we
and
match
we're giving 20.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it's just like the chamber. The chamber says we're the county seat, but most of their recruitment and stuff is done outside the city.
Well, I will take it upon myself to show you that we can be directly accountable for the activity that happens in Palatka. We'll separate that report out. And Mayor, we could easily do a mailing piece. I'm sure even with our resources, we could identify all the businesses in town and do a mail out.
And those lists are readily available. I just think that minimal effort has been made. I think that the city as a whole has given SBDC a vote of confidence by increasing our contribution to you, but you haven't increased your contribution to us. And I say that because the things that we asked for when we increased the funding, we still haven't seen, we still haven't received, and it's almost like it's one of those relationships where, you said you're at there was a funding issue, and the funding was being reduced on the county level, and you needed additional appropriation. We responded, but we haven't got the thank you card in the mail yet, and that's all we're waiting for. Is for SBDC to say, hey, we understand that the city of Palatka has given us a vote of confidence and has seen the need for us to have small business development. And our response is, we're going to communicate even more so than we have been doing. I understand you got limited staff, but we're going to communicate more so with the business owners in this community. Because one of the things is, for example, downtown Palatka is the catalyst to this entire county. And if we're not effectively communicating with our small businesses in downtown Palatka, if we're not communicating with potential entrepreneurs who may never go to downtown, who may never be in the place where Cheryl's having lunch, or may never be in that circle where she is in the evening. It may be a kid that's on the north side. It may be some senior who just moved to town who had a business in their prior community. But if we're making substantial efforts to get that information out, because social media is not the only outlet that you have, because there are so many folks that don't use it. But if we can get that information out and communicate it, you indicated that there are several workshops that were done, and yet I've never seen communications about a workshop. even if we could communicate it to the commission, we could get it to the folks who follow us. But if we're not getting that information out in the proper place, and it's not, I'm not saying this to slam you, but what I'm saying it because I've said it for 3 years. I've heard Ms. Brown say it for a number of
It
years.
sounds to me that there's room for improvement here.
There's always room for improvement in everything, but what I'm saying is, there have been basic requests, nothing out of the ordinary that would strain any resources. And all we want is just some effort to say, hey, we heard you and we're responding. You've given us that assurance today.
Absolutely.
And that's what we, aside from insurance, just follow through.
I think you'll see some change rather quickly.
Okay.
And the other thing I'd like to say is, for years, people found out that I found grants and stuff, and so every time somebody in our community wanted to start a business, they were knocking on my door. That was before this commission got there. It's a little different now, but I sent them to Cheryl, and the chamber used to have a book that outlined everything a person needs to do. I imagine she has that outline and stuff.
Yes.
And she says that she can't do it for them, but we have some people who could probably start a cleaning service because they clean the house better than everybody else, but they can't do the paperwork. And sometimes we just need to take their hands a little bit longer. We've been talking about a business incubator. I hope that we'll get going this year. Y'all said you all would help with it. Because we've got folks that can do excellent work, and we can start a bunch of smaller businesses in here, but they do need a little bit more hand-holding when it comes to it. We've had somebody who had a lawn service, and they worked with the school, with the housing authority.
Yes.
And they gave them their equipment and got them started. When they pushed them out the nest in about 2 years, and when the equipment was gone, nobody told them that they had a contract cutting yards for USDA folks and a lady cleaning houses for them, that they could go and get a loan on those contracts to help them improve. So, these are things that we'd like to have her look at to make sure that person that's not really secure but can do the work and can get stuff going. The other big thing is sales tax. Sometimes if you fill out a form and give them one to fill out every month about the same way and show them how to do that, because one of the ladies with the cleaning business got behind, and the fine that they give you is more than what they need to pay for unemployment or those kind of things. And that's the kind of thing. I know she didn't have a lot of time to talk with folks, but sometimes if you give us a roadmap, they could do the roadmap and maybe a follow-up call for a couple of months or 3 months. Now you need to get that done. It would help secure and help her with knowing the community a little bit better. Because if she helps somebody, they're going to tell somebody else.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. We'll look into that. Appreciate it.
Any other comments?
Thank you for your support.
Thank you, sir. So we want to address, we'll continue the discussion about the agreement for funding. I know that you've got another engagement that you got to get to.
It's important.
So, but we definitely appreciate you being here. Mr. Carr. Item 3, the Boxing Frolics recap of events and presentation of check.
Here's the check.
Well, we won't worry about the recap.
Okay, so forget about it. Right. But I really felt like that I wanted to do this because, you guys have been so supportive of this effort and everything like that. And we got 5.5 inches of rain during the time. But just to remind everybody of what happened in this thing, the effort was to bring an annual river festival. We started out with it being a kind of a recreational thing, but guess what happened along the way? We wound up with St. John's Riverkeeper came to town, and they said we're happy to participate with your festival, but we want to do a whole week of kids stuff. At the same meeting, St. John's River Water Management stood up, and they said we want to do it too. So instead of a recreational program, we wound up with an educational program. And so it was just a wonderful thing. and we already had the Passport Pass program planned out. So from this being a regular festival, it wasn't a regular festival. It turned into an educational program for the kids, which really was good. So we had 100 second graders per day come to the River Center on Monday through Friday, September 25th through 29th. The students visited 5 education stations, and it was just awesome. It really was. So we had 500 second graders that came down to the riverfront, to the River Center, frolicking that whole first week. It was a blast. It was really amazing to see it happen. And this is just one of the photographs that we took inside the River Center, where it was just full of people. And the St. John's River Water Management, back in the lab area, created an invertebrate lab, and the kids could hardly wait to get in there. It was just awesome. We had William Bartram on the roof doing his turkey calls, and they just loved it. And then we had the Long Warrior, Jim Sawgrass, out in the field out there with all of his stuff, and they couldn't wait to see all of that good stuff. So it was really, really something fun. Many of them did not want to leave. Some of the ones that came from Crescent City had never been across our bridge before. It's a really amazing thing. It turned into a wonderful thing. This is Jim Sawgrass's display that he had there, and it was really, really good. He had it there for days and days, and then that was, ooh, what did I do? There we go. So the day of the frolic, we took your hint, Mayor. We brought these are the soldiers from Fort Mose, and they had a whole display there and did a great job and everything. Again, by 12:30, the rain had come in and just blew us away. But they were really helpful. It was so much fun, and what an educational information they had. And their whole thing was geared toward the kids to tell them about Fort Mose and the first black settlement and the colonies. Really amazing. This is Jim Sawgrass, and you can see the picture there is William Bartram's drawing of. It looks like, how close did he come? It's amazing. But we stood by each other, and so he was representing the Long Warrior, and that is William Bartram's actual drawing of the Long Warrior. So that was wonderful. We had Mike Adams representing William Bartram there at the thing. We also had a gentleman by the name of Mr. Williams, and Mr. Williams represented Joe Wiggins, which was William Bartram's interpreter while he was here, and we also had another William Bartram that showed up for the frolic, and that was that one. We even had Benjamin Franklin at the thing. We had all kind of people at this thing. The living history part of this thing was really the hit, and that's what we spent a lot of our entertainment money was to get these people there. And they had a blast. The kids had a blast too. Passport Pass was a great program put together by some of us. The kids got a passport, then they walked around to all these locations. And again, by 12:30, the rain had come and blown down just about everything. So we were very disappointed about that. But people showed up. We had 400 people come into the River Center to do the passport program in spite of the rain. So our idea of getting 1,000 to 2,000 people down there, we would have realized it had not been dangerous to be outside. The next most popular thing was Mary Lawson's idea of the Pride of Palatka 2. We scheduled 4 river cruises, and we were able to do actually 2 of them. The one in the afternoon, nobody would have wanted to be on that one. But the wine cruise, people showed up for that. I can't imagine. And they spent some serious dollars for that. We had almost 100 people sign up for the river cruise during this festival. Isn't that amazing?
Wow.
Yeah, sure did. Now, we're only able to take about half of that because we had to cancel 2 of the cruises. But it was a great deal, and it's a great idea. Since then, we've had many, many Bartram trips on the Pride of Life. I've personally taken 80 people out doing nothing but Bartram trips on the Pride of Life.
How long was each cruise, and where all?
It's a 3-hour tour.
Ooh.
Just like
Gilligan.
Exactly. So
But you made it back.
normally it's 2 hours, but basically the cruise goes from the riverfront here in Palatka down to Murphy Island and back. That's the distance of the thing. We know the cruise boat runs 12 miles an hour when it's fully loaded now, so we can calculate exactly what all that does. And they allow you to take your own food and beverages on the boat, so it's great. it's really good. The last group that came here was from Ocala. It's from a group called the Master of the Possibilities. It is a curriculum, a nonprofit-based educational program for retirees. And so 40 of them drove all the way here to Palatka just to ride your boat. And they paid big money to do it too. So that's working. The other part of the recreation, you can see we had kayaks there and all. And again, we did get one paddle in during that thing. But the better part of it is we had two paddles planned down at one in Palatka and one down in at Satsuma. And those people actually came. We tried to call them and said, don't come. They said, no, we're coming. And so we actually had kayak paddles that people paid to come and do in that driving rain. It was awesome. But you're going to be wet anyway, so why not? So they did that. The Marshall Symposium, we had that. And again, pouring down rain, you could not get in there without getting wet. I changed clothes 3 times for this thing. and all, but it was, we had 80 people show up for this thing. It's amazing. We had room for about 100, and we had 80 people show up. It was outstanding to the point that they all want to do it again, so we have a plan. So Civic Club participation was just unbelievable. Palatka Rotary, Sunrise Rotary, Rotary Club of Crescent City, Rotary Club of Interlochen, Palatka Kiwanis, Pilot Club, the William Bartram chapter of DAR, Multicultural Arts Guild from Crescent City, and the Women's Club of Palatka all participated. And what they did is this is a fundraising event. It's really a shame, that they were only able to raise funds for a couple of hours. But had we ever been able to run to 5 o'clock, they'd made some serious money out of it. And that was the whole idea behind this thing. It was not for the committee to make money, but for these folks to make money. So how did we do this? Our marketing exposure was 50,000 regional newspaper inserts, 21,000 Facebook reviews, 10,000 Old City Life magazines that were distributed all over Northeast Florida, 3,000 rack cards, 1,000 flyers, 200 posters, and 3 radio stations doing broadcasts for 3 weeks on this thing. So that's what your money paid for. And we really appreciate it. So, bottom line is that I felt like the frolic was successful. I tried to fire the committee again, but they still won't go away. This is the 3rd time that I've told them, that's enough. So what they've decided to do is to do it again. And so we're gonna ask the city to help us do this again. It'll be September 29th and 30th of 2018. It's the same weekend basically there, and we'll do it the same way. We'll concentrate on nonprofits, and we'll concentrate that civic clubs be the ones that make the money on this thing, not us, and all of that. Bottom line, St. John's River Center had 450 visitors that Saturday morning, 500 students to the passport program. Monday through Friday, again, we had 500 students. We had over 20 living history reenactors. William Bartram, the Long Warrior, and Judd Wiggins, and even Benjamin Franklin showed up. Over 100 attended the VIP frolic on Friday night. Some of you were there. It was truly a frolic. What a good time. I mean, to have dinner with Benjamin Franklin and the Long Warrior and William Bartram, it was really cool. That was good. That was really fun. They did a great job. And the March Symposium Art Show was a terrific hit. So we're going to ask y'all to think about allowing us to do this again next year. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. You made it easy for me. And that was the key. Because we've never done this before. And next time it'll be easier for us and everything. But y'all sure made it easy for us. And we think that we portrayed Palatka in the best possible light. On all of the marketing efforts and all of the posters and all the banners, the city of Palatka was represented. And we did that, and we sincerely thank y'all for your participation. Okay?
Thank you for the work that you did as well.
Yeah. Sam, that was, you had it on that Friday and Saturday. I think I came down on that Saturday morning, but it was torrential rain that morning. I thought that the event was really going to cancel, but it stopped long enough for the event to carry on.
Yeah.
And it started back up again around midday, and it really was a true success. The energy that people showed by showing up, so it was great.
It was really neat. But you're right. The vendors, we only had 2 vendors that called and canceled. Only 2. The rest of them showed up.
Yeah.
It was really amazing.
I was going to tell Sam that the people from St. Augustine that came dressed in period. The older lady that was there, she brought some little frogs that jumped. She was really enthralled, and she wants to keep participating
Oh, yeah.
in. She said, anything you all have over there, we want to come. So we've made friends, not only
That's
having
true.
it, but we've made connections in other places.
They've been back a couple times since then.
Yeah.
But the same
It was a
thing, yeah,
parade.
that's right. Exactly. They are involved with, and these main characters that we have, they're all, they're planning on being here again and all of that kind of good stuff. It's gonna be great. And so we know what better to do. And the combination of the Historical Society doing their reenactment and our thing, really very little conflict at all. The only conflict we had was when they came and put all their signs up where there were no streets. You sure have to have signs, directing people to where they can't go. So that was the only conflict we had, but other than that, it really went well. I want to particularly notice that Mandy was terrific. Jonathan did his absolute best to make room for us down there. I mean, we had some serious stuff that had to be done in order for us to do this thing, the dock fixing and all of that, and getting the dock for the boat and all of that. And then what did he do? He tore up a whole street down there. And so all of a sudden, 20 sites that we were going to use for vendors, we had to relocate. But he did it.
Wow.
And it was amazing, absolutely amazing. So we really appreciate all the help from the city. It was really tremendous. And I just want to thank y'all sincerely.
Just for the record, so that we'll have it on the TV, on the monitor as well. You presented a check. How much was that check for?
$7,000.
Yes.
So definitely, we appreciated that.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank
And we
you.
definitely think that the Barton Committee, the work that you've done, we're excited, and we see the evolution of the festival, and it's growing. It's growing by leaps and bounds, and it's just a wonderful addition to this community. And we thank you guys for all the work that you do.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Let the record reflect that both Commissioners Campbell and what do we call you now?
McCaskill.
Commissioner McCaskill. And so we're gonna let the record reflect they're both present today. And I don't want to know how fast you guys drove to get back from Palatka.
You don't want to know either.
You weren't interlocking also?
I asked you when you were turning off.
Now you really
That they were both that she was driving at the speed limit when he passed her. So we're gonna go back and revisit agenda item 1, our discussion and recommendation on SPDC agreement for funding. And so just to recap, Mr. Monahan came up and he passed out an update on some of the successes of what was going on. We had a conversation about some of the things that we asked for previously from SPDC, so that we can actually get a true feel of what work has been done with businesses inside the city limits. And so Ms. Lynch has relocated from the Chamber of Commerce to 1100 Carr Street inside of Synergy Construction, and Mr. Reynolds is going to continue on.
I received an email from Chamber President Dana Jones early last week letting me know that she had received our quarterly $5,000 check for the contribution to the SBDC. Some commissioners may have been here when we executed the original agreement with the Chamber when the SBDC first started up. The CRA initially sponsored them at $10,000 a year. When it was on the agenda, I believe an MOU was discussed, but in research, I don't think one was ever executed with the Chamber. It was not executed with the Chamber. So I wanted to put this on the agenda tonight because Mrs. Jones has let us know that they will no longer kind of be the entity that we would pay. I was later contacted by Mrs. Lynch from the SPDC inquiring about how the CRA would like if we want to be billed directly, or I think I copied her email in here. But I just wanted to bring that to the CRA for their input so that we can look at executing an agreement with them in order to sponsor them at a set amount per year. Like I said earlier, we originally started at $10,000 a year. A couple of years ago now, I think it was, we increased that to $20,000 a year. So this year we have $20,000 in the budget. So just wanted to bring that to the CRA's agenda for discussion and get some input.
Any comments from the commission?
I like to see the report that, of what's being done in the city, before I vote on it. I may be the only one that feels like that, but I think I'd like to see something in.
What, is there any specific time period, or would you like it all the way since we first started here, or?
You don't have to give it, well, I don't know if somebody say that.
No, I mean, it's not something that's hard to do. We could do it for the last 2 years, for example, and show exactly what we've done in Palatka.
I think if we can do either a 24 or 36 month review
Okay.
of what's been done inside the city of Palatka, that'll be helpful information for us.
Okay.
And also within that report, indicate the methodology used to communicate
With the community.
with local business and the community as a whole.
Sure.
Anything else from you?
Thank you for that.
That's well stated. That's exactly what we will be looking for. So no need to
How soon
rehash it.
do you think you can get that information to us?
Start on it tomorrow.
All right. Anything else as far as I think what we'll do is let's place this back on the agenda for review of this item back on the agenda.
Do we need to officially table it?
Well, yes.
I'd like to make a motion that we officially table this particular item until our first meeting of the year.
February.
February. Okay.
Second.
Motion on the floor is second. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried unanimously. See you back in a few minutes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Did you get it back? Can I say something?
Sure.
If you get that done before the next meeting, it's possible that we can get it and not just wait.
I know you need it before that night.
Yes.
Thank you, Kevin.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Item number 2, CRA Board Membership Recommendation to adopt resolution amending Putnam County Board of County Commissioners Representation, additional member. And so,
Do you want me to speak on that? The summary is in the agenda.
if we can, I mean, basically, go ahead. Come on the street.
Betsy Drigger, City Clerk. Mr. Reynolds and I attended a workshop of the Board of County Commissioners where they agreed to amend the interlocal agreement to allow either any member of the Board of County Commissioners or their representative to represent the Board of County Commissioners on the CRA. So what this board has before them is the draft resolution that comes before the City Commission on Thursday night for adoption, which amends the membership from the District 3 Commissioner to any member of the Commission or its appointed representative. Once that's adopted, that will go to the Board of County Commissioners, and then they will put the amended interlocal agreement on their agenda. They will adopt it and then send it to us for adoption, and hopefully they'll send us a name to make an appointment on the CRA board at the same time.
Just as important information, I've spoken to Commissioner Lytle, who previously been a part of CRA. He indicated his interest in rejoining, and he said that he would have this addressed tomorrow at their commission meeting. And so at this time, I'll entertain a motion to make the recommendation.
Motion.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor and a second by Commissioner Campbell. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. We've covered item 3. Item 4, budget amendment recommendation of TIF budget amendments for city commission adoption.
You gonna read the resolution? Well, I guess it's CRA, they don't have to read the resolution. As everyone probably knows, the new fiscal year started October 1. When we do the budget process, I estimate what we think we will spend through the remainder of the fiscal year out of the different expenditure lines. Then after the fiscal year closes, I go back and look at what actually occurred expenditure-wise, and then I'm able to amend the budget by any balance forwards that we may have. And so these budget amendments are the balance forward amounts from each of the funds. I've put the amounts in the agenda summary. But I'll read through them real quick. The downtown had right at $60,000 balance forward, and I proposed reallocating that $30,000 of it to the home improvement program. I spoke with Mrs. Tucker about that. She said that she has several projects in the Central Business District under the home improvement program. With the hurricane occurring, we just simply didn't have time to get to them last fiscal year, and so we took the $30,000 that we had budgeted for last year, added it to the $30,000 that we have in this year, and so that's increasing it to $60,000, and that leaves right at $30,000 that can be reallocated to redevelopment incentives, which is the kind of the catch-all line for facade grants, building improvement grants, recruitment program grants, any of the grant programs that we actually have in place in the Central Business District. Let me try to connect this real quick. Then in the South Historic District, we had about $54,000 to carry forward. I put $22,070 into the commercial rehab grant program because we had several commercial rehab grant, 2 of them that were approved. One of them had been partially paid out, I believe, by the end of the fiscal year, but I think there was still some remaining. So that is on this line here at $22,000. The remainder of it, I moved to contingency, which is $32,250. That can be reallocated at this meeting or at any other future CRA meeting if there is another line that needs money. I think Mrs. Tucker mentioned earlier that it could be reallocated to the HIP program as well in that district. North Historic District had almost $19,000, $18,593. I put that entire amount towards contingency. Again, that can be reallocated if we have more HIP projects for that specific tax increment fund. So just wanted to bring that to the CRA for approval again, and then it'll have to go to the City Commission on Thursday night.
Ms. Tucker, where are we seeing the majority of the TIF requests coming from?
I've actually got, there's about 7 in the north. I just got, I believe, the 7th or the 8th for the central came in this week. And then the south has a good 6 plus that I haven't gotten through yet. So there's plenty of projects in that, in all 3 to use any monies that could be put forward.
So with reallocation, I think just to kind of keep some contingency there, do you have any recommendation with reallocation of 50% of the contingency towards TIF? Would that help?
It would. The north having 18, that would give about 9,000, which is close to the 10,000
So that's
Per project.
per project. Well, we could go up to 15, but it would help.
okay.
It would help.
So would you be okay with reallocating 10,000 out the north and 15,000 out of the south?
Yes. that would help immensely.
And that's okay with you, Mr. Reynolds?
Absolutely.
Mr. Griffin?
I think it's good to keep some reserve in there, especially with capital improvement project. Those projects are going well ahead of schedule. Haven't seen any unforeseens, and there's some contingency built into the contract, so no issues.
So, I think keeping it around that 50% of where we were, at least get an idea. We've had a whole bunch of unforeseen stuff going on lately, and so we don't want to really extend too much, but at least have something there as a safe harbor. Any thoughts from the commission? Any motions, recommendations?
Motion to approve. Motion.
There's a motion on the floor by Commissioner Campbell to allocate $15,000 from the South Historic, from the South Tip, and also $10,000 from the North Tip, for TIF HIP, from our reserve, for the restricted. And it's from the contingencies. And so there's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Moore. Any further discussion?
Question.
Questions called. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Moving on, tax increment fund financial report.
Yes, I printed this out just before the meeting. This is updated through today. Still early in the fiscal year. We have not allocated the revenues from what we've received in ad valorem taxes yet. And I have not been able to bill the county yet, as I haven't received the final approval from the property appraiser's office of the tax increment balances for this year. So that'll be occurring soon. I usually do that in December, so I'm expecting that in any day. Expenditure-wise, again, early in the fiscal year, not a whole lot of expenditures yet. Be happy to answer any other questions.
Any questions? I'll entertain a motion to approve the financial report.
Motion to approve financial report.
Second.
Motion on the floor in a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Reynolds. I appreciate that. Got me on task. I needed that. Has everyone had an opportunity to review the minutes from the October 9th, 2017 meeting? Motion to approve. There's a motion.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor in a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Appreciate that, Mr. Brown. I almost forgot. Huh? Also, let's go to item number, it's not a public comments. When I open for public comments, is there anyone here for public comments? Ms. Kitchen? Seeing no one here for public comments, the entire public. Ms. Lane's in the back and Nick. So, seeing no one here for public comment, we're going to close public comment. We again thank you for your patience today. I don't see anyone from South Historic or North Historic or from Central Business. We've got a report from Small Business. Is there anything that we need to report on, Ms. Tucker or Mr. Griffin?
Just one quick thing.
That was a rhetorical question.
There will be some new business at the February meeting. Ms. Tucker and myself will most likely be bringing the draft CRA district for Cypress Mills back for your review and input at the February meeting. So do expect a fairly lengthy presentation, and hopefully you'll have some good input on that plan so we can keep moving forward.
So we are seeing activity. Anything else? Great answer. Mr. Reynolds,
Nothing, sir.
just want to let you guys know that you have done a great job with the work that you've done in the CRA. Very excited about what we're seeing. There's an entirely different look to downtown. We're starting to see water lines go in, and so for all that have seen orange water, better days are ahead. And we're on board. Any comments from the agency?
I second what the mayor stated. There's no sense in rehashing.
I'm sorry, Sam, not here, because Sam got on me. He said pipes was sticking out and he couldn't take the people who came up on that boat on their tour because he couldn't get down the street to get the bus down there. So I guess they must have got out the bus and walked the block so they could could
No,
do
they
it.
went around the block.
Oh, they should, but but I said, Sam need to be here to know. Once I find out what it was, I didn't go back to tell him.
There is no progress without struggle. Is there, Commissioner McCaskill,
No.
Vice Mayor,
Nope. Nothing.
Commissioner Campbell?
I just once again apologize for my tardiness. I had a meeting on the west end that I could not postpone, so I do apologize for my tardiness.
Hey, we're glad you guys are here. It is it's 5 o'clock in Alabama, and we're still okay. But we definitely appreciate you being here so that we can conduct the business at the CRA. We appreciate you guys breaking away from the emergency that you both had. And again, we're going to continually move forward with our economic development plans. We just had Ms. Tucker and Mr. Griffith go out to Pennsylvania to bring back some new innovative ideas. Interestingly enough, we were communicating throughout. We were in the same seminar, seems like, at the same time with the Florida League of Mayors as well. But we just came back from our legislative conference with the Florida League, and FLAC is moving forward. We're adjourned.